we can go from this.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords. Adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. I batter them up. Large cod pickled egg.
Okay, so recently I used Reed Stefan and Andrew Wong's collab video for the 50 million streams on Spotify. Here's how I record the voice kind of thing. Or here's how I do vocals kind of thing. And I finally replicated it just by scrubbing through the video and figuring out what kind of settings he uses. Reed Stefan uses. I also did Andrew Wong's other vocal chain, which was like my version using free plugins and built-in stock plugins in Reaper of his Touchdown song vocals, which he did a long while ago. Anyway, so I have like a C major type thingy here, and I just pulled loops from a random sample pack and threw them in there. They're all supposed to work together. They're all in C major, and the vocals are, as you can see, it's C sharp major here. Let's quickly get that out of the way. So the vocals are, the vocals were in C sharp major. So I had a Tone Boosters Legacy Pack vocal shifter plugin, and I was tuning it to its C sharp minors. I was tuning it to A minor, which was the relative major C major. But that sounded wrong. And turns out that just M auto pitch right here, and this lovely window right here, worked just fine. So instead, here's what I'm doing. Instead, I'll show you the before and after. And I'm going to go through each stage, slowly turning on plugins to show what they do, or showing stages. And I'll explain what it's supposed to be doing.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords. Adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. I batter them up. Large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in, ducking in trim trap flats. You've been bad cats. I'm a wily fox looking slightly sloshed in the...
Kind of flat vocal. So, I don't know, I'm gonna zoom in here.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords. Adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back.
Alright, we're gonna stop at athlete tracks. I'm gonna do some A-B.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords. Adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords. Adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords. Adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back.
So, that's what that's doing. We can do better. Next one, de-esser.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Let's look at stacks.
Blazing back. Stack. Stack, blazer stack.
Alright. So before, de-esser.
Blazer stack, 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 blazer.
I started it at an annoying clip, but I hope you get the idea. I can also set it to, hang on, the listen mode. That's what it's picking up on, and it's ducking them by pretty much standard settings. This vocal is already pretty good anyway. Doesn't really need too much of my intervention with this plugin. By the way, Tone Boosters Legacy stuff. The Tone Boosters Legacy pack. I very much like the vocal picture. It's very nice. Good. Next. Okay.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Now in context,
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up.
sounds like it's getting buried a little bit. So this EQ is a low cut, boost somewhere here-ish, low cut where honky tones kind of sort of live, or S's kind of sort of live. Give it more air.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up.
And by the way, all these are in serial so far, but I do have parallel. So, activating this.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sports.
You'll notice something. This is not at standard. This is, I'm actually doing this cut boost thing. And I'm lowering it by 2 dB. Because I found that for the later compressors, it was going into them too hot. At least for standard stuff. So, I am going to do a solo first, before and after.
Back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete.
Kind of honky-ish kind of sound is cut by a little bit. It sounds, without it,
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up.
and then with.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete.
Even though I'm dipping it down, it seems like it's a little clearer on the top end because I'm boosting the heck out of it. So that's what that's doing in context. Next step. This is according to the Reed Stefan's kind of philosophy, this compressor is the smooth it out compressor. So, fast attack, relatively fast release, 2.5-ish ratio, I kind of just bleh. And it's reading itself.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats.
I haven't actually tuned it for this vocal level. And I also set auto makeup gain. I'll do a quick tune.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks.
I just kind of want that grain ticking just
Blazing
above
back,
it.
I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up.
And I want that amount of gain reduction to be relatively normal because it's supposed to be peaks that are catching through. At least in the first section, it's kind of similar. But I'll do it before and after, with it in context and soloed.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sports.
And this is not all the way perfect. It's not all the way full. So you might hear a little bit of thonkness.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete track.
It sounds like because it's slightly different, it's starting to get some sort of like a slap back. I actually don't like that, so I'm going to set it back to 100.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a.
Now it's a louder. Next is the Reed Stefan uses Ableton's like preamp distortion type thing. I'm using M Saturator, but I'm lowering the input a little bit.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and.
Oh, I forgot to give you in and out of context. So out of context for the compressor.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats up. Hold.
It's boosting the level. It's evening things out. I'm going to do in and out of context with this saturator.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back,
So, as you can see, it's 4 dB down input, but the output is the same. Got anti-aliasing on. Mode is soft 2. It's a basic saturation. And if you can see the needle,
blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the over.
We kind of sit around at like negative 9 dB-ish. Over here, it's subtle, but it's there. This is not subtle in the least. By the way, the saturator is also at full blast. So let's do OTT. This one, I have the lows down all the way to the bottom, and I have mids and highs basically cranked to the top. Highs a little bit less. Input gain, again, I'm turning the input gain down. The output gain actually went too hot into the next steps, so I turned that down as well. I'll show you what it does.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold.
What I wanted was brightness and more mid stuff, but not completely boom in your face. And Reed Stefan does this similar thing, and he mixes it really low. Mine is at 10%.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats, I hold the fort for the overlords.
So, it took me a while to figure out how to deal with this and get things right. Let me show you. What's it called? It's called Paranormal. There's a script called Paranormal that shows the signal flow of what I did. So, behold the masterpiece. So far, we got to OTT. Then we have a parallel start. As it turns out, it's not necessarily needed here. That's just like a utility plugin that I threw on, and I'm using it as a spacer for organization's sake. Every single one of these settings has the master dry wet that mixes in whatever it is that I'm mixing in. And I used a variety of stuff. All of them are free plugins. I did not want to pay for anything. I wanted to use what I had. And if I didn't have what I was looking for, I already have a bank of stuff that I downloaded but just didn't bother to install yet. So I just rummaged around in there and found what I needed, as well as going online for Air Windows, by the way. Air Windows, the best. Specifically, Air Windows Consolidated to Tape 8. I'll get to that. So, let's start with the elephant in the room. We've got this parallel details comp. According to Reed Stefan, in the Andrew Huang Reed Stefan collab video, this stage is a show me the details compressor. And he used 2. I found, let's push this up out of the way. I found I needed 4 just of Kotelnikov. I do have Molotov as well, but I didn't use it because this one I wanted to be clearer. All it is 4 chained together Kotelnikovs with the same settings. all set to vocal bus type preset. First, let me turn this on. So now, just because it's not doing anything, but I'll show you.
Back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned.
Okay, I remember. So part of what I was doing, part of why I needed this parallel start one was that I needed to take a single vocal track and split it into a bunch of channels within the track, so I could have the OG audio piping in separately to all the parallel plugins. Because I wanted to have my customized delays and reverbs self-duck. And I have that all set up manually right now. So whenever I load my vocal chain, it already has the track splitting and the channel splitting, and it has the routing inside the track set correctly. You could do this with splitting out into lots of different tracks and buses, as you can see on screen. Like a melody, I have two that are going into this, 2 tracks that go into this melody bus. As you can see, volumes are different, chords, pads, bass. If I was actually doing a song, I would put more tracks depending on what I needed. And I would probably put master reverbs and delays on the big boy send bus. But I didn't want to do that because I wanted this to be an FX chain that I could throw on one track no matter what, and it would still have all the functionality that I was looking for, which was ducking, even when a plugin doesn't specifically have that. So I did. Anyway, parallel details comp. Whew. All right. We're finally here. Out of context, I'll show you what it does.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks.
So what you probably heard was you get more detail as the voice starts to end on words.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks.
Now, I also, as you can see, I set the threshold ridiculously low, set the ratio to maximum it would go, and makeup gain, I set it to roughly where input and output for each of these Kotelnikov instances is roughly the same. And all of them are inside the container, they're all pinned at 100% wet. But this on this list is the big containers. Go. Hello. Bada bing, bada boom. Hello? You're stupid. Duh. Box. Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't have it correctly set. Anyway, so now I can use the dry wet, by the way. Mixing in here also works. And you can tweak in an amount of extra detail that I want. So in this case, I'm going to listen to it in context first.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
I think 23-ish. Where do I have it? 23? Yeah, let's do 30.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords.
I think 30% in this is good. Here we go. Next step, the slap delay. As you can see, it's pre-mixed to 100% wet. This is the magic, oh my god, what's going on button. Let's go.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks.
Now, as you can see, it's set to a musical time of 10th of an 8th note, which is 1/80th of a note or whatever. If I wanted to, I could do something like, I don't know, like this.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks.
I could do that.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats.
I think I like that better. 20 milliseconds.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Anyway, okay. It's mixed at 100% right now.
Back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back,
I'll do 100%. Why not? So here's what's going on. This one is not self-ducking at all. What I have is this thing to basically do nothing or volume shift around if need be. I have mbitfun, which is bit crushing the input. It's going to 8 bits. And I'll show you solo. First I'll solo it, and then I'll show you the difference with or without. You know what? No. I'm going to do it this way.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete.
Hopefully you can hear. It's a little bit crunchy. Just a little bit crunchy. Next. Just Air Windows Consolidated Distortion called Zoom. I set it to 0.74. I believe. What kind of distortion was this? I don't remember how exactly it works, but I found it was pretty good.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords.
Kind of crunches a little more. Then the delay, which, oh, by the way, there's a high pass filter on the delay. For the slap, it is high passed. And depending on the delay time and type, let's see, for the 8-second, it's squished more bandpass towards the center, and then quarter notes opens up a little bit, half delay opens up the most, but slap, I wanted it to kind of like high notes, high passed. Moving on. Now the actual slap delay.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
And for some reason, there is a gain reduction. Well, actually, I know the reason. Because I did a high pass, which removes some of the actual stuff in it, and then it's 100% wet. But, you know, whatever.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear.
I ended up mixing this stuff so that on or off, the total volume should remain the same. So, from the parallel details comp and down, all of these are optional. So I'm going to go one by one. So I'm removing the slap and the parallel details comp. Actually, I'll keep it on because I did this live.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete track.
That is the half note delay. Let me show you what it does. Oh, and it's only mixed at, what's that, 15% right now? Okay. So we've got the starter thing. OTT. All right, let me just undo all of this, and I'll show you what it does. Once I show you one chain, the rest are basically the same, but with tweaked settings.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in...
You know what? No. I'm going to put the delay on. And as you can see, I have some things happening before and after the delay. So this is what it sounds like vanilla. In context.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks.
So, fair enough, you'd say. OTT.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords. Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Not sure if you can catch that. I'll try to.
Blazing back, I
Putting the OTT on just kind of crunches it a little more. For the saturator, M-saturator, I'm really cranking it. And I have the harmonics thing enabled, but I'm not actually using it. I set it to the folder mode. I'll show you before and after.
Blazing back,
a little bit crunchier. And this is also not fully mixed. It's at 30%. That OTT from before was at 18%. Now, to tape 8. These are my settings. If you set the bias close to high, you start to get like a kind of high pass with a hiss kind of effect.
Blazing back up.
Now with and all these settings,
Blazing back.
now it's crunchy.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
So, I did have Tal Reverb for Crystal Clear Big so that each of the delays was reverbed. I kept it off for now. If I want to, I can always turn it back on, but usually I'm probably not gonna. Then I have the flanger, which makes it sound cool.
Blazing back, I blaze.
By the way, this is not fully mixed either. It's 50%.
Blazing back, I
You get the flanger effect even when it's at 15%, which I thought was good enough. And then this is the ducker. So what it's doing is it's grabbing a bunch of the track channels, which I've routed from earlier in the plugin chain. It's going into this specific container for the half delay. And then the container outputs, it's rerouting those back. But it's reading the auxiliary inputs, which are track. The plugin itself counts it as channels 3 and 4. So what I have is essentially the output for track channels 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But 3 and 4 go into 3 and 4. 1 and 2 also go into 3 and 4, so it's just like summed. But what we have is a self-ducking reverb.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way.
That's what happens by default. But if I enable the ducker comp,
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back up.
It's very low volume, but as soon as I end a phrase, boom, you can hear it again. And finally, probably my favorite result is Panagement 2. I have all of these. I have basically all the delays have a Panagement with tweaked settings. So this is before.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing stack.
It's delayed, but nothing fun. Then I have a relatively slow for this track. Close up pan.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Now we get a slow back and forth depending on what's actually playing. So that concludes my tour. So we have similar things going on with the OTT, okay. Let me set it to, okay. This is 2-tape 8 on half delay. This is on the quarter. Half, quarter. Half, quarter. On the quarter notes, I turn tilt higher, turn the shape lower. On 2-tape 8 for the half delay, those are tighter together. I really wanted to push it for the quarter. So I also removed the bias. I set the bias back to its 0 of 50. But I also am going into the quarter delays 2-tape 8 instance much hotter. So as a result, you have
blazing back,
a much more crunchy quarter.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing tail.
This is also mixed pretty high. If I didn't want it that bad, I could easily turn it down later, but I'm not gonna. Also, this is a lot tighter, much more focused around the person, and it's a faster one. Faster pan. If we go to the 8th note delay, same saturator type things, same OTT, air windows. This time, tilt is way up, shape is way down. And if I'm understanding what this is doing, according to the creator of Air Windows, I forget his name, fortunately, my bad. That's like the doubly, which is like an implementation, like a reverse engineered kind of pure code, I don't know, implementation of the Dolby kind of noise filtering of some kind. So this is without.
Blazing.
Well, okay, now I'm mixing it in.
Blazing back, I blaze a.
Then with.
Blazing back, I blaze a. Blazing back. Blazing back. Blazing back. Blazing back.
Without, it's a harsher digital kind of sound.
Blazing back. Blazing. Blazing. Blazing back. Blazing.
With the clap, or with the Air Windows 2-tape 8 enabled, you have a kind of smoothed a little bit tape sound. And for Panagement, it's even faster. Should be even tighter. Nope, actually it's the same. I might have just made it exactly the same. Yeah, who cares?
Blazing back up. Blazing back up, blazes.
It's fun. Alright, finally, we have the verb. This is Spectral plugins. I recently watched a video introducing it, and Spectral Plugins is a company. They went out of business, but they're releasing their plugins for free, and one of them was Spacer, which is a multi-reverb delay plugin with a lot of presets. I just chose one. I forget which what it is exactly, but I changed settings for the grain reverb, grain delay. And by the way, this whole like double set with Valhalla Supermassive is at 21% right now. I've set this specific plugin spacer to 100%, but inside the mix, they're different. And that's because I found that if I set all of them to, even one of them to 100%, weird things happen with the volume. I'll show you.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear.
It's a decent reverb. Now, if I tried to take this grain delay thing and
blazing back
and crank it up.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
I don't like that. Turn it back down. Back to normal, 14%. This reverb over here, it's currently set to 40%.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazed in tape.
Something weird happens. I lose all the other stuff. So I set it back to normal.
Blazing back, I blaze a.
Now I get my texture back. Don't know why it does this. So grain reverb.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing back, I blaze a.
So grain reverb is fine. Convolution, I don't remember. Let me check.
Blazing back, I blaze a. Blazing back. Blazing back, I blaze.
Yeah. So it's convolution and the reverb, the algorithmic reverb, that both screw with the grain reverb and grain delay, but I wanted the texture.
Blazing back up.
Then finally, swamped to hell. But this inside this chain, the spacer goes into Valhalla Supermassive, so my textures ideally should get smoothed out and washed out a little bit because it was at 12%. Back to 12. All right.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. Blazing back, I blaze. Blazing back, I blaze a. Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
I take my textures and the reverbs from Spacer. I tone it down and flatten it out into like this super massive sound of Triangulum Hall.
Blazing back up. Blazing back up.
I'll do it this way.
Blazing back up, blaze a. Blazing back up, blaze a stack. Blazing back up, blaze a.
All right, now I'm gonna take this back down. Something more reasonable.
Blazing back up, blazing back up, blaze a stack. Laced in tailors.
So, what this means is, if you enable, for example, everything.
Blazing back up, blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats.
Things gotta get crazy. So we can go from big reveal. We can go from this.
Blazing back up, blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-way hats. Hold the fort for
to
the
this.
overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. I batter 'em up. Large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in.
And it kind of gets a little more fun because I called it the Andrew Huang touchdown style sauce. The super mega edition is basically this touchdown sauce at the end of everything I just had. So now here's what's going on. So we stopped here at verb. We've done that. Now we're going down a bunch of plugins that are one into the other. Okay, bunch of plugins one into the other. Let's go. First, I'll show you what this sounds like. Before.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Super Mega Edition.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Lacing tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords of Golden Sports.
With less insane reverb, but like with the slap delay and parallel details comp added before.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tape.
After.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Lacing tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps. A barrel large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in, duck it in, chin trap flash. You've been back cats. I'm a wily fox looking slightly sloshed in the pricey spots. Bottle god witch washing in the paisley cloths. Egyptian sheets for shady thoughts. Played by crazy plots, there's some lady bots.
It's kind of crazy. So.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps. A barrel large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in.
I think that's more reasonable of a wet dry for that first one. Okay, so we're now gonna do the Andrew Huang version. Here's what we got now.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats.
I'll turn the volume back so it's normal.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
So the Andrew Huang touchdown style vocal chain starts with a pitch shift of the voice up an octave, messing with format a little bit. In Ableton, he set a grain size, and I think he set it to Complex Pro. And he did this on, I think it was two different tracks, if I remember correctly. I'm doing it all on one chain, so I just set the wet dry mix to how much. Okay, I remember now. It was on two separate tracks, and the pitched up one, he turned the volume down by 3 dB, which makes sense now that I think about it, why I should probably set my wet mix to something slightly less than 50%. So this is before.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
After.
Laced in tailors and K-Way hats.
Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps.
We get a kind of alien doubling. Pitch perfect. Then he has a chorus. Don't remember if it's exactly this. But it's kind of stupid right now because I had it set almost all the way to 0, but meh. Oh, by the way, this voice picture is at 100% like plug-in controls wet. Not in the UI, but in the Reaper's container. So this is.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps. A barrel large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in, duck it in, chin trap flash. You.
I like that level. So. Now, unlike the previous style where it was like lots of parallel stuff, I'm not splitting this out into parallel, so I'm mixing wet dry in plugin. So this is without.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
With.
Tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps.
Kind of get chorus.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps. A barrel large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in, duck it in, chin trap flash. You've been back cats. I'm a wily fox looking slightly sloshed in the pricey spots. Bottle god witch washing in the paisley cloths. Egyptian sheets for shady thoughts. Played by. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps.
That's fine. Moving on. Okay. Saturator. This one is a take what we've got, warm it up a bit. So before,
blazing back, I blaze a stack.
After,
laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned.
I think that's actually a lot of warming.
Back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear. Athlete traps.
But you know, anyway. More saturation. So, in Andrew Huang's video, he used the sausage factor. I tried to use a combination of M Saturator, Tube 2 from Air Windows, and 2Tape 8 to kind of get the same effect. So I'll do it all at once.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats.
Before.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in.
Boom. Kind of.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats.
A little bit thicker, a little bit crunchier. And then we're going into a de-esser.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks.
I think for this vocal, it's a little bit much.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks.
Yeah, it's fine. Next. Okay, so we had the de-esser finally, but next we're using Tal Reverb 4. Andrew Huang used Lexicon, I think, which had some sort of like wide, shimmery kind of feel to it. I used Crystal Clear standard. I think I tweaked the settings a little bit. So size 75%, 27% diffuse, and rate was 80%. Amount 28, low cut 242, no high cut, dry volume full, wet volume at 24%. So this is without the reverb.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
With
in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the blazing back.
You hear that? That fade out. By the way, this whole reverb plugin is only mixed in at 35%. It's subtle.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
So far, it's subtle.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlord.
So we got all these effects pushing and fattening a vocal, but pushing and fattening the vocal to the front, and then a little bit of reverb pulls it back a little bit.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
And then we have spacer again. And Andrew Huang also used the Maserati VX1 by Waves to both EQ and run reverb. So I tried to replicate that kind of thing using the Reverb 4 plugin, the spacer, and Air Windows. Basically, I'm kind of ignoring the Maserati magic and seeing if I can get away with it. So this is without spacer.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats.
With spacer.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
A little bit more texture. It's got the grain reverb, which is what I like. Without both reverbs.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold.
Pretty dry sounding.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Blazing back.
Now we've got a lighter reverb with some shimmery quality to it. This is without the shimmer.
Blazing back.
With the shimmer. Yeah. Okay. And finally, a compressor with fast attack, fast release, high ratio, just to squash everything.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack.
Now the reverb's coming through. Without.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks. I buy them up. Large cod pickled egg all in my gut.
Okay. Then finally, an EQ to drop off the low end.
Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. Hold the fort for the overlords adorned in sportswear athlete tracks. I buy them up. Large cod pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in, duck it in, trim, try flash.
Alright, we're clipping the master a little bit. Anyway. I'll remove all of these, except for the auto pitch at the beginning, so you can see what it sounds like just with the Andrew Huang touchdown.
Lacing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. I batter 'em up, large cod, pickled egg all in my gut.
Very wet, very saucy.
Lacing back, I blaze a stack.
Lots of saturation going on. But I called this the mega because once you add everything up to the slap, and then everything you get.
Lacing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. I batter 'em up, large cod, pickled egg all in my gut.
I'll do some gain matching real quick.
Laced in tailors and K-Way hats.
I think that's pretty matched. So we've got without.
Lacing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks. I batter 'em up.
Large cod, pickled egg all in my gut. Tuck it in, duck it in, trim, try flash you. Bin bag cats, I'm a wily fox, looking slightly slotched in the pricey spots. Got a god wish, washing in the paisley cloths, Egyptian sheets for shady thoughts. Played by crazy plots, it's a lady box. So I blaze a knot and display the blocks. The pure power of a blazing squad. I'm a fire that'll drain the trough of an agent lost in the pages crossed out beneath. Blazing back, I blaze a stack. Laced in tailors and K-Way hats. I hold the fort for the overlords, adorned in sportswear, athlete tracks.
Yeah, see? So yeah. That concludes my walkthrough of my version of the Reed Stefan's vocal chain for vocals, and Andrew Huang's touchdown vocal chain, and the combination. I like the combination, but I think for this vocal I would turn some of the reverbs down, and I would tweak some of the EQ because I'm starting to get like a generic washed out sound. So I'd probably drop a few things. There you go. Hope you enjoyed.